Welcome everybody back to Real Talk. We have our real exclusive agent, Chris Shomo, with us. Yeah, it's so good to have you. It's been years. It's been years
I know,
since
Alex.
we last seen each other.
It's been years. It's great to be here. Appreciate what you're doing here.
Yeah, I'm excited because you've been a resident of Ewa Beach for the last 4+ years, right?
Yeah.
And out of all the topics that you get to talk about today, it's Ewa Beach.
Well, how about that? All right.
Yeah, so if you could tell me a little bit about Ewa Beach, like where exactly is Ewa Beach?
Yeah,
and what's a little bit of the history?
Yeah, so if you look at the map of Oahu, right, you split it right down in the middle. Ewa Beach is on the southeast side of that lower half on the left, but it's called the leeward side.
Leeward side.
As opposed to the windward side where Kaneohe is and Kailua. And Ewa Beach is right next door to Kapolei and really close to Ko'olina Resort, which has Disney's Aulani Resort and the Four Seasons and like 4 lagoons and all that. But Ewa Beach primarily, back in the day, like in the 1800s, and actually before that, the land was all flat. It was still flat now, but it was called it was moku, M-O-K-U. Moku is a landmass. And it was really appealing to the ali'i in the past. In the days, the ali'i are Hawaiian chiefs. So a lot of the chiefs like to live in Ewa area because it was flat land. And in the late 1880s and early 1900s is predominantly a plantation area. Sugar cane was the
predominant
area. It was all sugar cane and some pineapple too. But unfortunately, around that, I think it was in 1980. I actually can revert back to my notes, but in the 1900s, it was all sugar cane and plantations. But in the 80s, the sugar cane industry was outsourced and no longer here. So, and that at that time, it was pretty much just a really low-key surf area, surf resort, and just really chill area. And if you look at Ewa Beach now, you've got like new Ewa and old Ewa Beach, and that's divided by this one road called Papi'i. And so old Ewa, there are plantation-style homes. Back in the day, who knows, they were probably selling for like $5,000, right? And now the median price there in a tear-down condition is probably around $700,000 or higher. So you have the old Ewa, and you have the new Ewa. And there are a bunch of new developments going on. And many of the builders are like Castle and Cook, Haseko, build up a lot of Ocean Point, which is the neighborhood that I live. And you have D.R. Horton Homes and a couple others. And so on the leeward side of Ewa Beach, you've got, in the next 12 to 14 years, they're projecting another 15,000 homes, new home developments.
Wow.
But 75% of that is all in Ewa Beach.
Wow.
Still. And I'm like, okay, well, Ewa Beach is only a landmass of like 2 square miles. So not a whole lot of space, right?
Yeah.
But it's drawing a lot of attention. I think one of the interests of Ewa Beach for the mainlanders moving here, and a lot of the military moved to Ewa Beach, and we can share about that more later. But Ewa Beach and Kapolei is the neighboring city. It's really appealing to homeowners from the mainland that moved to Hawaii because it's newly developed, and it kind of looks a lot like your traditional city, with your Targets and your everything, right? It's very, I hate to say like Americanized because obviously we're in America, but it's very like, it's not so Hawaiian. People are attracted to it because of the hidden utilities too. And people are like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, here in Hawaii, a lot of the area, you've got your utility lines that are literally like connected from the street. So they're not hidden, they're not underground, which can look kind of ugly in some ways to some people. But it's like this, we're so used to it. It's like, so what? That's what it is. But yeah, all the utilities are underground in the newer Ewa. And there's a lot of planned communities, planned developments.
I hear this common saying of, the more east in Oahu you go, the more expensive houses get, and the more west you go, you get kind of more value for the size and for the land.
Exactly. And that being said, like just like the rest of the mainland U.S., we've seen home prices increase quite a bit. I mean, when we actually bought, it'll be 4 years in August. Right. And our home has increased in value 30% and just in the past 3.5 years.
Sure. Oh my gosh.
And we see a lot of that here, don't we?
Yeah.
But old Ewa is very desirable because it's still like a kind of like it's very old school Hawaii. It's we have 6 beaches lined up in Ewa Beach, and that's really where you can get the most affordable land and homes close to a beach. Is old Ewa Beach.
Yeah.
That's what makes it desirable.
When I think of the perspective of maybe somebody moving to Hawaii, maybe they're thinking about Honolulu, or they're thinking about Waikiki, or maybe even Kailua. But Ewa Beach is kind of one of those gems in Hawaii that is so prominent and thriving and growing that it might not be people's first inkling to say like, hey, I want to live at Ewa Beach.
Right, and a lot of people really might not know much about it, and even the locals that do. Just up to maybe 10 years ago, Ewa Beach was a nightmare to get in and out of because there was really one main vein.
All that
was Fort
congested
Weaver Road.
traffic.
Yeah, there's a lot of congestion, right? And so for the locals that have been here for a while, it's like, oh my gosh, it would take me a half an hour at least just to get to the highway, to the H1,
oh
to the freeway.
Gosh.
But that's not really the case anymore because of all the new development. They've built different veins, so now there are a couple different streets that you can access H1. So it makes it so you're not going to have that tremendous amount of traffic jams.
Yeah.
But back to Old Ewa and the beach community there, it's like those are where you're going to be able to get quote like more affordable homes like right on the beach.
Yeah. When you think about the different types of buyers that Ewa Beach attracts, what kind of range are we looking at? Are we looking at maybe like the single person or the or the young family, or maybe for the investor that's wanting to buy their second, third, or fourth home?
That's a great question, and really it's all of the above. It's kind of like a best kept secret because it's a lot of, you have a lot of planned development, so it looks really nice, and there's a lot of cookie cutter homes. So it's kind of like what was that movie that what was it, Truman Show or something?
They have like track homes that are just all looking
like
like the exact same.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of the similar style homes, but they make it look really, really nice.
Yeah.
And we have like 6 golf courses
Wow.
just in that 2 square miles,
gosh.
right? So public and private, and there are 11 courses on the leeward side, and half of them are right there in that 2 miles.
Yeah.
So it's really, we're surrounded by golf courses and everything, and people really love it.
You mentioned golf as being one of the amazing amenities. I mean, 6 golf courses in just such a small radius.
Yeah.
Right? But what are some other things in terms of amenities that Ewa Beach kind of draws people towards?
So it's really the way that they planned out the community. There's so many nice parks there for community. So before moving to Ewa, we lived in a really nice area outside of town. It's called Alewa Heights, and when we had our son, we're like, oh my gosh, there are no sidewalks, right?
Yeah.
And homes out there are crazy expensive, but
and then you're in the heights.
You're in the heights. You look out the window and your beautiful views are basically crowded with utility lines, and not like your simple like one cable line. These are like these honker electric lines, right? These power lines, like, oh my gosh, we got to do something about this. But with the hills and everything, we're like, okay, this isn't the best spot, most family friendly, to walk your boy and all that stuff. And since I'm in real estate, I'm on the road all the time. We're like, okay, well, why don't we look into Ewa Beach? Yeah. And their homes are affordable, for what you can get.
Definitely.
And we're like, wow, this area is beautiful. It's surrounded by parks. It's just so pretty, pretty. So
so parks,
like it there.
being a huge draw. And then you mentioned earlier too, military, right?
Yes.
Ewa Beach being one of those main communities that draws a lot of military. Like, what's the reason for that?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. I think what it comes down to is it's so catered to family. And I think there's a lot of buzz when it comes to the military about Ocean Point specifically, because you hear the words Ocean Point and they're like, oh, it's got to be right on the beach. And some homes are very close to it.
Yeah.
My house is maybe 3/4 of a mile walking distance. So people love that aspect. You can just walk that close to the beach on your morning walks or whatever. And it's warm. It's not like crazy hot. There are some neighborhoods, if you got to be careful, if you're moving and planning on buying a house,
Sure.
you got to check out where the airflow is coming, because if you're just, and
It makes a difference.
It
It makes
really
a huge
does.
difference.
Even in Kailua,
Yeah.
right? If you're just like house, and you have no airflow, it's gonna be hot.
Yeah.
So you want to get your split ACs, or you want to get air conditioning, and that's another thing about Ewa Beach. Most of the homes, the newer homes, have your central air conditioning, which are like our traditional mainland Americans are like, well, every home's got central air conditioning. It's like, no. It's like, welcome to Hawaii. You're gonna see. You might have your AC units or get your great split AC units, but it's central air conditioning is not that common.
Yeah.
It's just something to consider, if you're moving to Hawaii.
Yeah, Chris, I'm so curious. Is what else is left in Ewa Beach? Is it all built out, or is there still room for development?
Yeah.
Or what are
So I don't know if I mentioned this, Alex, but over the course of the next 14 years, there's going to be about another 12,000 to 15,000 homes. Thousands,
Jeez,
right?
wow.
Developed in the leeward side, like Ewa Beach, Kapolei. But in Ewa Beach, that's 75% of it.
That's huge.
Yeah, and so one of the biggest builders are D.R. Horton.
Oh my gosh.
And they're building this incredible community called opili, or they've been building.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of single-family homes, townhomes, condos, as well as apartments as well, for those that can't afford housing. And of course, they have the planned development, so you have all these pools everywhere, all the parks. We often visit this one fruit park with our son, and it's just a real joy.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a happy area, great place to live for families.
I mean, it's so good to know that there's so much room to get into something new in Hawaii, which seems kind of rare these days, right? But if you can get into something new, just I mean, the less problems you have in terms of plumbing, or like maybe it's with paint or termites or whatnot, right?
Right.
There's just so much a different kind of value set that you get for being able to get into one of these new developments.
Exactly, and like old Ewa, those homes were probably built. Most of them were probably built in like the 20s, 30s, and maybe as early as the 50s, right? But all of this new development in Ewa, the newer Ewa, started around the 90s. Okay. But it's more. They really started sprouting in the early 2000s too. So yeah, but you're right. It's a much newer feel to it.
So Chris, what would you recommend for the prospective buyer just saying, hey, I've heard enough about Ewa Beach and I want to take the next step to see what's available, or maybe go to an open house, or what would be kind of the next step in terms of being able to contact you?
Oh, well, yeah, you can just reach out to me at homesweethomehawaii.com and set up an appointment for me. For a lot of the people that are moving to Hawaii, and a lot of the military that are PCSing, we'll do video conference calls and do the tours.
And then even
Zoom
for military,
calls.
we'll probably get into this a little bit later, but they have their own special benefits that they get too.
They do indeed.
Yeah,
they do indeed.
We'll get into that pretty soon, guys. But again, this is Chris Shomo.
Aloha.
One of our real exclusive agents. And if you have questions about Ewa Beach, he's the man to contact. So until then, we will see you folks next time.
See ya.
Mahalo everybody for tuning in to this episode of Real Talk. Hungry for more? Well, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get updated for our next episode of Real Talk. We'll see you guys next time.